Now it's time for Straight on the Point with Jesse T from some undisclosed location somewhere in the world. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here's Jesse T.
Well. All right. It's a Monday in Southern California. It sure feels like it, though it is a Tuesday in the Southland here. You're straight on the point and live at 5. The world according to Torero. It's the Jesse T Show right here on thepowerofvoices.com at www.thepowerofvoices.com. Also, AVTV Live in the Digital Broadcasting TV Network. A nice, long, refreshing weekend of honor and memory. We're going to talk a little bit about that and a whole bunch of potpourri of things to talk about today. We've got a great show lined up for you, and we've got some guests coming in at the end of the week, as well as road tripping, and next week a couple of terrific guests that we have lined up for you as well. Saying hi to our Facebook Live audience, facebook.com/Jesse Torero. And of course, we're on 2 other Facebook sites, and that's Straight on the Point, and of course, the Master Blaster themselves, the Power of Voices. And you can check us out on the website, thepowerofvoices.com and aventertainmentlive.com. So, saying hi to our new crew over here on Periscope, just to the right of me, if you see me turning my head. We've got a camera over here. We got a camera up there, and we have a camera over there, and that's our Instagram Live audience. Charlie Gammon just joined, and Monaco French Restaurant just joined. Thanks a lot, guys, for having us on. Hope you had a long, refreshing weekend. And wow, so many great things happened this weekend. I am so proud of America, and I'm so proud of our families, and I am so proud of our president. So I've got some things to chat about there. Also, saying hi to our Periscope audience. We're trying to build that up. So spread the word out there, Periscope. And don't forget about Ustream and UPeak. We're also on live stream, and we're on Google Plus and Digi and Reddit and LinkedIn and Yahoo. Of course, don't forget about YouTube Live, The Power of Voices. We broadcast live there as well, and we archive there and a few other sites right here on the Jesse T Show. So I just want to take a quick little volume check and a mic check, and just to make sure we're coming through okay in the studios. As you see, I'm in the Burbank facility right now. Wasn't able to make it down there. Had a crazy pack-filled real estate day. I have a chance to talk about some things I had to say. Saying hi to Gwen Legge, who has us on in Eruption. Thanks a lot. We're going to have her on here at some point in the future, and saying hi to Alex Beverly Tepizano. All right, so let's get at it right here. And, of course, a long Memorial weekend. Before we do go any farther, I do want to let you know about a couple of important things. One, download our free app, won't you? It's free at the Power of Voices because we have so many great shows and so many great hosts here before and after myself, like the Lee Michaels Show from 10 to 12, right here every day of the week, Monday through Friday. Josefa Salinas has a show, and she's a well-known veteran radio broadcaster, and she is the big boss man here at the station. So it's good to have you check those shows out. They're very entertaining and just terrific. And it's a free app. You will be destined to find a show that you really like. We have comedy. We have shows that talk about some real cool things, spiritual stuff, people doing good things in our society, sports with Greg Bell. We have the Jesse T Show. We have entertainment shows. We have fitness shows with TLC Unleashed. So there are so many great shows here. And of course, you got me, Jesse T, and I just cover the whole gamut because this is the world according to Torero. Let's get straight on the point. All right, so let's talk about a few things here. Oh yeah, first off, hey Lee, is audio okay, or should I unplug the headphone and go straight into the computer?
Audio is fine, but I'm not getting your video for some reason.
Okay, you're not getting the video? All right, so should we?
You're feeding. I'm getting it, but Skype, it's not coming through for some reason. I'm not sure why, but all I'm getting is a Skype logo.
Well, that's interesting. You want to back out and come back in?
That sounds kind of interesting. Yeah, let's try that.
Yeah, look at, what can I tell you, man? I've often backed out and just came back in. I mean, sometimes coming back in the second time, you get a whole nother interpretation,
All right. All right, let me try
right?
that.
You know, that. All right, so how about that? You got me now? Yeah. Okay. So Periscope saying hi to our friends Snoopy Pants. I think that's who just checked in, and or that's boy, that's a tough one. Pooh Mangerati, Pooh Man's Gerati, Pooh Man's Gerade. Okay. Do we have the video up yet? You let me know if we do, because I'm gonna
No, it's not
continue on.
coming through, unfortunately.
Wow.
I don't know.
You know something? It's just the plight of the Jesse T show.
No, I don't know.
Every day, there is something that goes wrong
And I
with
did
the
everything right today just to make sure.
every day.
I know what it
It's
is. It's you need a haircut.
You think that's going to solve it? You
No,
don't
but
like
it's
my
worth a
long?
try.
It is getting kind of long, huh? Well, that's what happens when you
Just a
go back
tad.
out, come back in. It gets kind of long. Ha! Should have done
Boom,
that.
boom, boom.
Yes, I tied it all together
Yeah.
somehow, some way. Well, thank goodness we do have Periscope and Instagram, and we have the Facebook feed going, as well as we have the radio feed going, right? At least they can hear me.
Correct.
Uh, Thanks a lot. Now I can't even hear myself. Yeah, you send that high pitched tone. What am I taking an ear test at the ear doctor here or something?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Okay, well, so be it. And that's the way it is on this day as we approach June. We'll eventually work out the gremlins here in about 6.5 years on the Jesse T Show, because we like our gremlins. Excuse me, are you happy to see me, or is that just a gremlin in your sock? Yes. All right. So what a weekend. Memorial weekend, huh? Did you go out? Did you have some good hamburgers and hot dogs and steaks and chicken and barbecue? And did your family come over? Did you enjoy yourself? Or did you celebrate the great price that many people have paid for you to enjoy your barbecue in your backyard, or at the park or beach or mountains or desert, or friends, family, loved ones, wherever you went? Isn't that great? Isn't that great? We live in a great country called the United States of America, and that we have the ability to be free of all the strife of the rest of the world. Isn't it just terrific that we have two great oceans between us and the North Pole up above us? It keeps all the riffraff out, doesn't it? It's amazing. But the price that the men and women have had to pay in order for you and me and everybody that we're speaking and talking to today that see us and hear us on AVTV Live and the Digital Broadcasting Network and the Global Radio Network of thepowerofvoices.com, isn't it just terrific that we can bring out that flag, play all the great national anthems that we love so much, you know, to play all the military songs and go to the parades and see some of those old military vehicles in the parades and some of the old veterans in their old uniforms and honor them, the ones that are still living, memorializing the ones that have passed away. Isn't it just beautiful? Isn't it just a wonderful thing? And my, oh the price that had to be paid for that. beyond conceivability when you think about it. Could you imagine on a Tuesday night getting a letter or an email or a call or somebody showing up at your doorstep telling you that your son or your daughter was killed in the line of duty defending his or her nation? Could you imagine that at all in your wildest imaginations? The feelings that would hit you faster than instant. Can you imagine that having to see and bury your child or your loved one or your spouse or your significant other? Though there is some solace to the fact that it is a completely volunteer military we have in the United States of America, and each one of these individuals made a choice, and they gave of themselves for their partners fighting right near them first, their comrades, their unit, their platoon, their brigade, their given military force, be it Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard, Marines, or the Army, or even the National Guard, and for country, for family, for God, they gave their lives in the line of duty. Many of them will never know their names. Fathom that just for a second. Now, I've never lost anybody in those circumstances, and I know some of you have that are listening and watching the Jesse T Show today. Wasn't able to broadcast over the weekend. We did the best of Jesse T. So I wanted to talk about that just a little bit as we get the show started here. There's so much to talk about, but nothing more reverent and as important as this. Have you ever been to Arlington National Cemetery or any national cemetery where our military men and women have been buried? I've been to Arlington many, many times, where President Trump gave the speech at the tomb of the unknown soldier in the amphitheater right behind the tomb. Have you ever been there? Go there one day and walk and spend a day there. There's so much to see, so much history to absorb. Watch the changing of the old guard in front of the tomb of the unknown soldier. Listen to them playing taps. And the speech that President Trump gave, magnificent speech, honoring the Gold Star families, the families that are left, and the sacrifice that they have paid and will continue to pay till they meet God Almighty. And we hope and pray their loved ones again. My son had the opportunity to do exactly what Donald Trump did, President Trump. My son won a contest in the state of California when he was 10 years old. And it was an essay and what it means to be an American. That was what the essay was about. There was a girl child and a boy child that was to be picked out of all the private schools in Southern California. All of them. They broke it up into two because California is so massive. My son submitted his essay from Village Christian School and what it meant to be an American from a 10-year-old. And when he submitted that, we forgot about it. And as we forgot about it, a phone call came to his mother, Mama T, one night, and said that your son won the essay to represent the boy, the 10-year-old boy in Washington, D.C., at the tomb of the unknown soldier, and a girl one from the San Diego area. Wow. My son, really? So I flew there with Jesse Andrew, and you can check him out. He's an elite Spartan warrior now, racer and obstacle runner, third-year engineering student. You can check him out. He's got an Instagram site, Jesse Andrew Torero, and he has a Facebook page as well, Jesse Andrew Torero. And we got to Washington, D.C., and they led us to Arlington National Cemetery. And as we got to the cemetery, we got out of the vehicle, and what we did is we went underneath the amphitheater, because right under the amphitheater is where all of the old guard dress up, make sure they're perfect, rest and relax for their time of duty, walking back and forth at the tomb of the unknown soldier. And we got a chance to meet these beautiful men in these beautiful, beautiful uniforms, so perfect, not a flaw in anything. There were no women at the time that were allowed to do that when my son was 10. He's 22 now. And we signed the book. He signed the book, took some pictures, some video, got a commendation, a certificate. They were very honored to be helping him that day and his essay. They all had a copy of his essay. And it was just a magnificent event. And Dad just stood back and watched it. So I went out to the audience where they put me so I could get video and take pictures unobstructed off to the side of the tomb of the unknown soldier. And my son, right where President Trump was at the top of the amphitheater, the stadium was filled just like with President Trump. And my son walked down with the little girl, and each soldier, each boy and each girl, the boy and the girl had a soldier escort them down the stairs and stay right there at attention and approach the tomb of the unknown soldier exactly the way President Trump did. If you saw that. Exactly. Just exactly. My son was then asked with the girl to present the wreath and cross the line where the soldiers walk back and forth. Now, if you cross that line and you're not asked to, they have the right to shoot you. Those rifles they have are not ceremonial rifles. These are expert marksmen. They're the very best the military has to offer. These are the very best. My father, Grandpa T, was asked to participate and be one of those guys if he re-upped after the Korean War. He didn't do that. He wanted to get out and start his family. But he was asked. So they escorted Jesse down. And first they escorted the girl down. And they escorted the girl down, and she crossed the line and laid a wreath right there at the tomb of the unknown soldier. And then they escorted Jesse down. She walked her back to the other side, escorted Jesse down, and laid a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier. And Jesse took a step back, just like President Trump, and he bowed his head and he said a prayer. Well, dad was in tears. And so they let him back, and then they played taps. The impact and the power of that moment in that young boy's life, and all of the people that were there watching, is beyond what words can ever express. To honor the tomb of the unknown soldier. Unbelievable. They escorted him back up after taps, and what he did is he put his right hand over his heart, and he stood straight like a board. The other little girl kind of slouched around a little bit, but she was pretty good. But Jesse stood straight like a board. Walked him back up and out the back, and I met him underground where they're stationed at. Now, watching Donald Trump do that this weekend just reminded me of that moment. And it also reminded me of the absolute American love affair that we have with our military. We have the greatest men and women in our military the world has ever seen, ever. And it was just fabulous watching, which I believe is going to be one of the greatest presidents in modern times. And I'll put that with Reagan and President Kennedy, Donald Trump. Give that speech. And what was really moving is when he was driving through Arlington National Cemetery and he met with some of the families that actually lost soldiers in Section 62. If you ever have the opportunity, go to the tomb of the unknown soldier. Watch the changing of the guard. Watch them play taps. Go to Arlington. Walk among the fallen. And if that doesn't make you a proud American, then you don't belong in this country. Now, there's a whole bunch of stuff about President Trump, about this European tour. I got to tell you something. I think he just did great. Everybody complained about his little hustle pass and push away the guy from Montenegro. Everybody complained that maybe he was too harsh, pointing and calling out Muslim murderers. Everybody complained that he was probably too harsh and curt at the NATO meeting, saying, it's time to pay up. For me, that was an absolute refreshing moment to see all three of those. I mean, this was like, America is back. And Montenegro, Germany, France, get out of the way. You all come crying to us anyway, anytime you need something. We've saved your bacon more times than you can ever imagine. If it wasn't for America, you would have no Europe today. It would have been under Nazi rule or communist rule, one or the other. You wouldn't have America like it is today. It was Americans who saved the world. Even in World War I, when we showed up in the trenches of France and Germany in 1917, because we were there and we came ready to bear. Within a year and a half, when we showed up, World War I armistice happened. America has always been and will always be the savior of this planet. That is our destiny. America is second to no one, and no one should ever bend over, pay ransom, or cow down to any country. Get out of the way. So what? Your feelings are hurt. Too bad. Tomorrow, when you need something, you're going to come knocking at our door. And guys, 50 Muslim nations, you better get your stuff together and weed out, drive out the Muslim, Islamic, jihadist, psychopath, serial murderers. Because they have interwoven in your society and religion and politics and centers of worship to the point now that's causing the world much, much harm just because they want to kill indiscriminately. For what? For a God? You've got to be kidding me. God loves. God doesn't kill. Really? And hey, you better pay up, New York style. Where's my money? Show me the money. We've been paying. We foot most of the bill. You better pay up. And Germany, let me tell you about Germany and Merkel. Do your homework on this one. A lot of people on the internet are saying that Merkel is the daughter of Hitler. Look it up. Whether you believe that or not, I don't know. But the mere fact, it's out there. Look it up and you make your own determination. She's acting like it. You know, the Germans are acting like Germans, and it was Donald Trump that got to bring that out in them. She basically just said, we don't need America. We don't need anybody. We'll be the leaders of Europe. We'll lead Europe. Right. Is that what they did in World War I? Is that what they did in World War II? Please. Is that what they did with the Visigoths and the Berserks and the barbarians? Let's go back to Roman times. The Germans have always been a fighting race of human beings. They were the ones that brought Rome down, that nailed the final coffin into Rome. The Visigoths ransacked Rome and burned it to the ground many times at the end. The barbarians, the berserks, this was all from the Rhine area, the Black Forest, the German area, before they were known as Germans. Nothing new there. Study history. Nothing new there, guys. So are we going to let Germany rule Europe? Are we going to, please? We'll just stop buying your BMWs and Mercedes-Benzes. Thank you very much. I don't know if they could do that in Hollywood. Saying hi to Jason Mikado, James Hart Stern. Hey, thanks a lot, Angela Caprig. Gwen Legge has us on. Thanks a lot. Rocco 04 True 12005. Yeah, buddy. And also saying hi to Brennis001. Thanks a lot for having us on Instagram, Periscope, and of course, Facebook.com. Jesse Terrero, Straight on the Point, and the Power of Voices, as well as Periscope, Livestream, Instagram, and about 20 other sites that we broadcast out to, and thepowerofvoices.com and www.thepowerofvoices.com. Now think about this for a second. It was because of American ingenuity, American might, American intelligence, American right side thinking, American honor, American honesty, American morality, American ethics, American finance, American leadership, that the world is what it is today. That toilet paper and toothpaste are in England, and their teeth aren't green and yellow. Think about that. I've been to 43 nations. You ever wiped your butt with a big leaf? I have. It don't feel too good. You talk about crackling Rice Krispies. So please, it's nice to go down the street to a Ralph's or your local market, the Stater's Brothers, at 1 o'clock in the morning and be able to buy some Kool-Aid because you want some Kool-Aid. It's nice. So when you look at what America is about and the memorializing of our great fighting force and honoring them, it goes beyond even that. It goes to an understanding that we as Americans are the leaders of the free world, for that much, the leaders of the world. And we better start getting ourselves straight up and understand that. This politically correct society that I've lived most of my adult life through, these pansy-wansy lunatics that just are so crazy, Vox jocks, these left-wing lunatics find some way to make Memorial Weekend look bad. Go check them out. Can you believe it? It blows my mind. So because of who we are, and because of that great trip, we've reestablished ourselves as the big boy on the block. We're back. North Korea, you want to shoot off a missile? We're going to shoot it down. There was a test today where they shot off an ICBM missile from the middle of the Pacific Ocean, the Americans did, headed towards Alaska, and they shot off at Vandenberg here in California an interceptor missile, and it exploded in space. They hit it. You want technology? North Korea? Really? The Chinese? You better start coming down on North Korea. You want to continue with the commercial and the money and the manufacturing and the great consumers here in North America? America, your number one consuming nation, China? You like your gold and silver and you like your dollars and you want to move on the world monetary currency scene? Well, you better get your act together with North Korea and start putting some pressure on them more than what you're doing, because it's you. They're on their border that have the biggest and most important control over what they do and what they don't do. See, we've let these type of individuals in the world get away with too much. It's like that great story that is told, and I'm sure you've heard it before. There was this lion, and he's laying in his jungle, his domain, right? And he's kicking back, and he's happy as heck. He's so lazy and tired and big and powerful, and that mane blows in the air. He's just so strong, and he's just relaxing. And nothing's bothering him. He's the king of his domain. And then all of a sudden, the little baby cubs come over. And they start nipping at his tail. They start nipping at his paws. They start jumping on his belly. They start, nipping at his mane. They start messing around with him. And then he's okay with that because they're the baby cubs, right? And then all of a sudden the lionesses come by. And the lionesses, they're a little closer. So they start nudging him with their heads and banging him and leaning up against him. And all he wanted to do was just kind of sit there, mind his own business, enjoy the beautiful hot summer day and the grass blowing in the wind on this beautiful jungle in the Serengeti. That's all he wanted to do. And as he pervades over out and through his domain, he sees the jackals and the hyenas. They start eating his food in his domain. And he starts looking at these jackals and these hyenas. And then the lionesses start kind of teaming up with other lions that come into his domain, taking his lionesses. And he's watching all this happen. And he's saying to himself, really? Really? Trying to be a nice guy, trying to mind his own business, trying to take care of his clan, trying to keep his domain clean. And then all of a sudden, more jackals and more hyenas, and the hippos, and the elephants, and the alligators, and the crocodiles. And everything starts showing up. And then one day, he gets up, and he runs out, and he tears the crap out of everybody. He rips them apart. He don't care. Because every once in a while, the lion has to wake up and get his domain back. America's waking up, guys. And this political correctness that we live in is got to go away, and it is dissolving very, 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 very fast. Because we are back. You know, it sort of reminds me American ingenuity and American ideology, and being an American, the Americanism of it all, which I for decades have said we've lost that. We've lost that Americanism. But we're getting it back. Slowly but surely, we're getting it back. And all this stuff with the commie Ruskies, the Russians, it's all just a bunch of gobbledygook. It's just a bunch of lies. There's no crimes. Even Dershowitz, the most left liberal of them all from Harvard, the great legal scholar, one of the great 5 legal scholars in the last 75 years. He's a Harvard Law School professor. He is like one of the gods of law and scholars. And he talked about civil liberties. He actually said the president's civil liberties are being violated. He said, there's no crime here. There's not a crime until evidence comes forth that's overwhelming. He's not going to be impeached, guys. It's not going to happen. But sure, the left-wing lunatics are obstructing Congress and obstructing the Senate. So they're going to try to hurt him that way. But I believe the American people are going to see that. It's going to backfire, this obstruction they're doing in the Senate and the House. I believe it's going to backfire completely. Because President Trump did more in the first 100 days than any president has done in 50 years. He's passed legislation that needs to be renegotiated. Absolutely. The healthcare thing is not finalized. The tax thing will have to be re-looked at and renegotiated. And that's what smart minds are supposed to do in Congress and the Senate. They're supposed to renegotiate this stuff, come up with something better. You know, 2 heads are better than 1. The president can't do this legislation without Congress and the Senate, and the Congress and the Senate can't do it without the president. But they're not working together, and Donald Trump wants to work with them because he's the art of the deal, man. He made great deals. He goes to Europe, he goes to the Middle East, he brings back $110 billion from one country. Renegotiates trade acts. I mean, really? He's doing all he can do. So the point is, America is like the most ingenious, creative entity the world has ever seen. And we have to be unleashed to be able to do that. Because given the ability to be creative and unleash the powers of every single one of you men and women to create and to employ and to develop. This is why we are where we are at in the world. Because of Americans. First and foremost. It's sort of like the frog. America is like the frog. There's these 2 little frogs. And there's a big tree. And it's a 100-foot tree. And no frog has ever been at the top of that 100-foot tree ever before. No frog has ever even attempted it because it's just too high. Frogs don't go up 100-foot trees. Frogs stay like in the little bushes and under things because they're afraid. They stay in the mud and under bushes because they don't want to get eaten by the eagles. They don't want to get eaten by the condors. They don't want to get eaten by the hawks. They don't want to fall off the tree. They're good for jumping around. They got those big frog legs, hips. They got some butt, man. Them frogs got some rear end and some hips, man. Right? But this one frog decides in his brain, I'm going to get to the top of the tree. So he jumps on one leaf, this one frog jumps on one branch. Okay, so now his partner frog is down there looking at this frog jump on this one branch. And he's shaking his head, man, and he's yelling at his buddy. He's man, you can't go, man, you're too high. But the frog kind of looks down, forgets about him, and jumps to the next branch. He's got them big frog legs, He's got like the biggest frog legs frogs have ever had. He's like the Arnold Schwarzenegger or the Lou Ferrigno of frog legs. This guy's like massive frog legs. So he jumps to the next branch, and he's at 20 feet. Now, what happens is the frog society starts kind of milling around down at the bottom of this big giant tree. It's 100 feet high, and they're saying, what's he doing? They all know him. What's he doing up there? So the frogs are talking to each other, and his partner frog says to him, look it, he's going to go to the top of the tree. And the frogs go, oh, no one's ever gone to the top of the tree. We're frogs. We don't go to the top of the tree. No. So they start yelling at him. Not worry about him. Come on down. You don't have hands. You got frog legs. You're going to slip. He doesn't care. He just jumps another branch. Now he's at 65 feet. At a 100-foot tree, he's looking down. He can hardly see the little frogs because frogs aren't that big. And these are big bullfrogs, right? Big bullfrogs. And they're like talking now. Now there's like the whole frog friggin' nation is down there looking at this guy, this frog, jump at 65 feet. Now he's getting a little concerned himself. But, he's at 65 feet now. What is he going to do? Right? The buzzards and the hawks and the eagles are flying around. And, they eat frogs, right? But, so he gets close to the stalk of the tree, right? And he jumps, 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 and he almost falls. And he jumps and falls almost, and he jumps, and he's like at 99 feet. He's got one more little branch, and the branches are getting smaller and smaller and smaller because it's at the top of the friggin' tree. No big branches anymore. So he looks down and finally gets the courage, and he jumps to the top of the tree, and he stands up there, and the eagles look at him, and they're amazed because they go, Jesus. And the hawks and the condors and the buzzards are going, wait a minute. That never happened before. So he's standing up there. He's like Rocky Frog, right? Da-da-da, 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 right? He's doing the frog dance. And then what happens? The frogs at the bottom are saying, he made it. Mike, no, now he's got to come down. He's going to die when he comes down. He's not going to make it. So he comes down 80 feet, 70 feet, easy pickings. Oh no, he's going to fall. He better stop. He's not going to make it. He comes down, he gets to the ground. All the frogs are just amazed. But his partner frog is standing there, right? And he's just a big frog smiling. He looks at the guy and he looks at the guy. And all the frogs say to his partner, how did he make it up there? Nobody's ever made it up there. And he didn't die coming down. What they didn't notice is that all the commotion and the noise they were making and all the concern, the frog jumping to the top of the tree couldn't hear a gosh darn thing. You know why? Because he was deaf. He was deaf. He didn't hear the negativity. He didn't hear the bad thoughts. He didn't hear the old frog nation saying, you can't, you can't, you can't. You won't, you'll die. You'll get eaten by hawks. He didn't hear any of that. All he heard was himself saying, I'm going to the top of the tree. And I'm going to come down. And the stories were told about this frog for generations of frogs, forever and ever and ever, about the greatest frog that went to the top of the tree where nobody had ever been before. And that's what America is. We are the most ingenious people that were ever created by an omnipotent one you call God. And I do too, because we have no other way to express it. We lead the world. We don't follow the naysayers. We don't say we're sheeples. We stand on the top of the tree and say, we're here now. And we have the right way, the only way, the American way. And if that's not true, then how come you have shaving cream and soap and penicillin? How come you have houses that you live in? How come you have coal? How come you have automobiles, toothpaste, combs, internet, science, walking on the moon, technical advances, computers, surgical mastery? If that's not true, where have you been? This is why Donald Trump is going to go down, in my opinion, as one of the greatest presidents ever in modern times. Like Reagan and like President Kennedy, he's a free-thinking man who does not care about what the rest of the frogs are saying. Who every now and then he has to be like the lion and take back his domain. And that's what we're doing. So political correctness, move aside. Wishy-washy, whimsical, fancy, Pillsbury, fatty, doughboys, move aside. It's time to get serious. It's time to lead with pride, not cow down with shame. We're not perfect, and we got lots of problems in this nation. But the one thing we're darn good at, and that is leading this world to a better life. That's why everybody wants to come here. But they can't. Too bad. You can't. And if you do come here, you come here the right way. Sorry. That's the way it is. That's the world, according to Torero. Now you're straight on the point. What can I say? I can't help but being me, Jesse T. I feel the way I feel, especially after Memorial Weekend. Unbelievable Memorial Weekend. One of the best Memorial Weekends I've ever seen. On the tails of that great European trip. I'm glad he pissed off most of Europe. They need some help. Europe is over with in the fantasy of what it used to be. And they better grab hold of it. And they better understand that they better do something. The EU is going to break up. Brexit is just a start. Sovereignty is coming back. The globalist agenda is ending. And they're trying to end Donald Trump. but they're not going to be able to, short of killing him. And every president has assassination attempts against him. Every president. Every major leader has assassination attempts against them. It's just part of the game. It's part of being in that position. But, move over, because here we come. And we're not stopping. We're not stopping. This is the start of a revolution. The Maxine Waters, the Pigolosis, the Democrats, the Republicans, the Senahos. You know what a Senaho is? Every person we send to the Senate turns into a hoe. They're called Centahos. The Assembly a-holes in the state of California, El Stupido Brown, Confetti Garcetti, our mayor who's got nothing but candy and paper for brains. Watch out. Move over. There is a new sheriff in town, and it's the sheriff of conservatism, of logic, of common sense, of American might and right, and the American way. God bless America. God bless Donald Trump, and God bless his family. And God bless me, Jesse T. World according to Guerrero, they're straight on the point. The Brown Beauty is always on duty. Right here, 5 to 6, on the Jesse T Show. PowerVoices.com, Facebook.com/Jesse Guerrero. Straight on the point. And the Power of Voices on our Facebook site, Instagram, Periscope, live stream, and 16 other social network sites, and on our global radio network, PowerVoices.com, and AVEntertainmentlive.com tomorrow, 5 at 5. Cool stuff happening. Actor Michael Angelo's coming in. Public Relations Director Dana Beeson from Beverly Hills is coming in. We got lots of people coming in. The Brown Beauty is off duty. See ya! Boom!